Track 1. Cambridge Global English Stage 9 2nd Edition by Chris Barker and Libby Mitchell. Published by Cambridge University Press, 2022. This recording is copyright. Track 2.
Eva, what do you think about students being allowed to talk in class? Is it a good idea?
I think it is, because if you don't understand something, you can ask the person next to you. I often ask a classmate instead of interrupting the teacher.
Tarak, what about you?
I think it can definitely help you to learn, especially if you're talking quietly about classwork. And you can learn by comparing answers.
Anna, do you agree? Talking in class distracts you from getting on with your work. Our teachers get tired of telling people to be quiet, and I can understand that. What's your view, Joseph?
At the end of the lesson, our teachers let us talk about what we've learned. It helps us to remember what we've done and we can ask questions. And they don't mind us talking quietly during the lesson, as long as it's about the work we're doing. In fact, they encourage us to do that.
What do you think, Han? Our teachers sometimes tell us off for talking in class, and it's true. I get into trouble for chatting to my friends when I should be working. That's why I like my Spanish lessons. You have to talk a lot because you need to practice speaking Spanish. It's true that if you're talking too much, you won't hear what the teacher is saying, so you won't learn anything. So talking in class? Yes and no. It depends. Milo, what's your opinion?
Sharing ideas with friends helps me to learn, but sometimes people talk when they're not supposed to, and that can get really annoying. Because you can't concentrate on what you're doing, like when you're doing a difficult maths problem. You need to be quiet to do that.
Track 3.
Hi, Layla. Hi, Mai.
Hi.
What are you reading?
An article about role models.
Role models. What does it say?
Well, it says that teenagers like us are obsessed by celebrities and we all look up to them as role models.
I don't.
No, nor do I.
That's just a stereotype.
So who's your role model, Mai?
My tennis coach.
Your tennis coach? I thought your tennis coach was Mr. Peters.
And? A girl's only supposed to have female role models. I don't think it's odd that my role model is Mr. Peters.
It's just that he encourages me to believe in myself. He doesn't give me an easy time. He often says, "Come on, Mai, you can do better than that." And, "You aren't watching the ball onto the racket, Mai. Now concentrate on the ball right until the time it touches the racket." But it means I play better. And he is so patient. He just wants the best for me. That's the sort of person I want to be.
She's going to a tennis camp this summer.
Yes, I'm saving up for the trip.
What about you, Layla?
Marley Diaz is my role model.
Who?
I'm reading a book at the moment called Marley Diaz Gets It Done, and so can you. She's a role model for me. At school, she wanted to read books about people like her, but there was nothing. She had an ambition to collect 1,000 books about girls who had adventures, who were good at problem solving, who did great things, because she wanted to give them to other girls to read. And she did it. Time magazine named her as one of the most influential teenagers of the year. And now she's written her own book. I saw a video of her at the Embrace Ambition Summit. She gave a talk there. It was brilliant.
Anyway, Theo, what about you?
Boys just have footballers and sportsmen as role models.
That is not true.
No?
No. I mean, I've got an uncle who's a fantastic footballer. He's a role model for me, I suppose, but not because he's a footballer. He's kind. He's patient, and he tries to do what he can for other people. At the moment, he's helping children who have problems with their reading at a local school. He's just a good person. He's always helping other people.
What do you think about celebrity role models?
You mean famous people who we look up to? It depends. Some celebrities aren't very good role models at all.
Yes, it depends what they're famous for.
If it's just because they've got a lot of money from selling their stories to magazines, no thank you. But if they've done some good in the world, yes, then they can be a good role model.
Did you know that there are these TED Talks by teenagers who have done great things, like there's one by a boy who invented these lion lights?
Track 4.
Look at these word clouds.
Oh yeah. What are they supposed to show?
The first one shows the stereotype of a teenager. Rebellious, disrespectful, rude.
Cheeky, uncaring, bad-mannered, defiant. Wow, that's quite a list.
Rebellious. That means you don't obey rules of behaviour. You know, when you don't do what you're told to do.
That might be true of some teenagers, but it's not true of most of us.
Disrespectful.
That's not right either. We respect our teachers. We respect our parents.
Rude.
You mean not polite? I think most of my friends are very polite.
Cheeky. Answering back. Not showing respect.
Not true.
Uncaring.
No, that's not right either. My friends care about the people they know.
Bad-mannered.
Does that mean you don't have good manners at the dinner table?
Maybe it's more to do with pushing past people in a shop, or interrupting people when they're talking, or not saying, "Excuse me."
Well, adults do all of those things.
Defiant.
Defiant.
Yes, when you are asked to do something and you refuse to do it.
You might have a very good reason for not doing it. What about the second word cloud?
That shows the positive qualities that teenagers can have.
Responsible, respectful, caring. That's more like it. Civil. Does that mean polite?
Yes, sort of polite, in a formal way. The opposite of bad-mannered.
Okay.
So what happened was, there was a study of some middle schools in Shanghai. The researchers asked students to give them examples of teenagers acting responsibly. So, being respectful, being polite, being caring, and so on. The students gave them examples, and then they wrote reports about their own behaviour over 3 days. They themselves showed examples of acting responsibly and behaving well.
So you mean that the students wanted the researchers to see that they too were respectful, polite, caring, and so on?
Exactly.
Interesting.
Track 5.
OK, so we've got to do a presentation on teenage life for our social studies lesson.
Can we use the projector?
Yes.
We could start like this. After the title slide, we could have a photo of a group of teenagers. Just a photo, no words. And we say, look at this photo. These teenagers are being asked questions about teenage life by a TV journalist. What do you think the questions are?
Yes, that's a great start, involving the audience straight away.
Then we could show them the words for the stereotypes that people often have of teenagers.
Shall we put the questions on placards? You know, why are teenagers so untidy? And why are teenagers all obsessed with their phones?
That's a good idea, to put the questions on placards. Visuals are really important.
Why don't we get some card and some poster paint from the art room?
We can't go into the art room at the moment.
Why not?
It's being used for an exhibition.
Oh, that's annoying. Anyway, I've got some card and some paint at home.
OK, let's get started. I'll look for some photos.
Hold on a moment. We need to plan the presentation first.
Oh, OK, yes. Good point. Right. So we've got 10 minutes and we need to...
Track 6.
My Name is Tani, by Tanitalua Adewumi. One day, while we were walking to the basketball court, Austin and I talked about Mum and Dad. I said, "What do you most like about them?" Austin started talking about Dad and said, "He's hard-working and wants the best for us." And he's always reminding us to focus and pay attention and become great people in life. I said, I like all those things too. Then Austin said, Wait, I forgot. I have one more thing to add about Dad. I like his suits. That was funny, but not in a rude way, because Dad really does have a lot of suits, and all of them look really good. Then I said, What about Mum? Austin thought for a moment. He said, She's the best at teaching moral lessons, and she's always trying to guide us away from bad things. Did you know, the other day when I was on a school trip, some kids were messing around badly, but I made them stop because I remembered all those stories she told us about how important school is. Austin had already told me that story about the school trip, but I nodded anyway. We reached the court then, and it was time to play, so I didn't get to say what I like most about Mum. But all the time we were playing, I was thinking about her and what my answer would be. I like that she cooks good food. She can make anything taste good, and all the time we were living at the hotel, I think she really missed not having a kitchen of her own. I like that she corrects me. Well, maybe I don't like it, but I know that it's helpful, so I'm grateful for that. Most of all, I like that she helps me with my chess. When I don't play well, she doesn't get angry or make a big deal out of it like some parents do. She just says, Do you think you can do better? And I say yes. And she says, Well, if you work hard and concentrate and do your very best, that will be good enough. And she takes me to chess tournaments. She's never too busy, even though she also takes Austin to his basketball games and cooks all the time and has her own job too.
Track 7.
Next, Coach Sean started talking about chess, and I listened hard. I even moved places so I could be right in the front row and able to see him up close. I wanted to make sure I heard every word he said. We've been working here for 3 months now, and I know you all know the moves of the pieces, but I've got to tell you that knowing the moves is not enough. The concept of the game is a lot deeper. If you want to be good at chess, you've got to learn how to make good decisions. Then he said something strange. Raise your hand if you know how to cross the street. I put my hand up in the air. I looked around, and everyone else had too. Coach Sean nodded. Then he said, Right. Is it simple or difficult to cross the street? We all called out, It's simple. Okay, but if one day you forget what to do when you're crossing the street and you forget to look both ways and make that mistake, what could happen to you? I had my hand up high. Mum had been talking to me a lot about crossing the street ever since we'd moved to the hotel, because the roads in New York are a lot busier than they are in Dallas or most places in Nigeria. When Coach Sean called on me to answer, I said, You'd be hit by a car, and you might die. He said, Yes, that's right, Tanny. Even a simple thing like crossing the street can have really bad consequences for your life. And that's like chess. You might think that since you're just making a simple move, you can make it fast and not think about it carefully, but you can end up in so much trouble. You've got to think the consequences through. You've got to think deep. Otherwise, you're going to end up in trouble. I liked everything that Coach Sean said. Everything. That's when I knew that I really wanted to be a chess player.
Track 8.
Our first guest today is Professor Sheila Brown, an expert in the field of health and nutrition. Professor Brown, what do you see as the most serious problems related to food?
Well, clearly the most serious problem is the number of people in the world who are suffering from malnutrition because they simply don't have enough to eat. Undernourished children, for example, just don't get enough protein, vitamins and minerals for their bodies to grow properly and protect them from illness and disease.
Yes, this is a very important issue, which seems even worse when we consider that in other parts of the world, having too much to eat or too much of the wrong kind of food causes illness.
This is true. Obesity leads to many health problems. Unfortunately, advertising encourages people to consume too many carbohydrates and too much fat in the form of fast food, processed food, and sugary drinks and snacks. This kind of food contains too many calories, but not enough of the things your body needs for a balanced diet. That's why it's sometimes called junk food.
You mean it's called junk food because junk is something that is not useful, not of good quality, and this kind of food doesn't provide good nutrition?
Exactly. What's more, because this kind of food contains a lot of sugar, salt and fat, it's tasty, so you want to eat more. That's why it can lead to obesity. It's also quite cheap, and there is a connection here between poverty and obesity.
Right. So what do we need to eat to be healthy?
We need to eat a balanced diet. And to have a balanced diet, you have to eat a variety of food to provide the nutrients your body needs to be healthy. It means eating the right amount of protein, carbohydrate, vitamins and minerals.
What is the right amount of protein?
You should eat a little protein at every meal. This can include eggs, dairy products, beans and pulses, as well as meat and fish.
So a vegetarian diet can be just as healthy as a diet that includes meat?
Yes, definitely. And when we think about food for the world and the health of the planet, eating less meat overall is a good option.
Okay, so we need to eat fewer burgers and things like that.
Yes. And another important issue is avoiding food waste. While more than 800 million people globally are undernourished, 1/3 of food being produced in the world is being wasted.
That's terrible. The world is out of balance.
Yes, it is, but it's something that we can change. For example, we can reduce the waste created by shoppers.
You mean supermarket offers? Buy one, get one free?
Yes, that and other kinds of food waste are being taken seriously now, and people are being made aware of the importance of reducing food waste worldwide.
Well, you have given us plenty of food for thought.
Track 9.
What do you think of this article?
Well, I think it's quite interesting, and I agree with some of the advice, but not all of it.
Okay, what do you agree with?
I think it's a good idea to switch off, or at least stop using laptops or iPads for a while to relax before going to bed. But, on the other hand, I quite like watching a film or something on TV after I've done my homework, so I can stop thinking about school and things.
Yes, but it's not a good idea to watch anything too dramatic or scary at night. That keeps you awake.
Do you ever wake up during the night to check your phone?
Occasionally, but I don't think that's a problem.
Do you feel that you get enough sleep? I mean, do you ever feel tired during the day because you haven't had enough sleep?
Well, sometimes I go to bed too late, and then, of course, we have to be up early to get to school, so then I feel tired.
And when you feel quite stressed about something that's happened or about something you've got to do, that affects you and it can be hard to get to sleep.
Yes, that's true. Things just keep going round and round in your head, and you just can't get off to sleep. That's very annoying.
What do you think is the best way of avoiding that feeling of stress and anxiety?
I guess the best thing is to talk to someone about it.
Yes, definitely. Sometimes just putting your problems and worries into words helps you to work out how to solve them.
What else do you think helps you to get a good night's sleep?
Spending some time in the evening doing something relaxing that you enjoy, like listening to music.
For me, making sure I've done something active during the day, even if it's just going for a walk, helps me to feel relaxed and ready to get a good night's sleep.
I've read a study recently that said having a nap at midday is good for teenagers. It helps their brains to work better during the day and leads to better sleep quality at night.
That's a good idea. Perhaps we should build that into the school timetable.
Track 10.
Dr. Redman, why do languages have more words for negative emotions than positive emotions?
Well, it's true that approximately half of all the words that people use to express emotion are negative. 30% are positive and 20% are neutral. One possible explanation is that when you feel negative, you want to find out exactly what the problem is, so you analyze it carefully. What's wrong in your life? Are you depressed? Are you anxious about something in particular, like an exam, or work, or money? Or are you just bored? The reason you analyze the negative emotions more carefully is that you need to know what to do to stop them.
Yes, I see what you mean.
You want to feel better. You want to feel positive again. On the other hand, when things are going well and you feel happy, you don't need to analyze your feelings because you're all right. Everything is fine. After all, you don't go to see your doctor or psychotherapist when you're happy, do you? You go when you're unhappy.
Yes, I see. That's very interesting. And is that really the same for
Track 11.
how to be happy? That's the theme of our podcast today, and we're asking you to send your views to me, Adrian Hunter. But first, listen to what 4 teenagers told us.
Hi, my name's Asma. How to be happy? That's a good question. Well, I would say I'm lucky because I've got a really supportive family. They encourage me to try new things and to get involved in activities like sports and drama. It's fun to be with other people and do things you enjoy. That makes me happy.
Hello, my name's Dev. I don't really like being in big groups and I get a bit nervous about things like talking in front of other people. I like being at home and just getting on with things I'm interested in. I feel uncomfortable with situations when people get angry or behave badly and disrupt lessons at school. That kind of thing makes me feel unhappy.
Hi, I'm Tien. I think that to be happy, you need to have good friends. Friendship is really important to me. Friends make you laugh when you feel a bit down. They support you when you're worried or when you don't feel confident. I'm quite sociable and I get on with most people. I don't like being on my own. I can get quite anxious sometimes. But if I'm worrying and stressing about homework or a test, I find that just sharing the problem with a friend helps me feel much happier.
My name's Adam. Well, I think being happy is a combination of lots of things. Feeling well physically and also mentally, so that you feel you can do your best and enjoy life. I don't think you can expect to feel really happy all of the time. Sometimes you just feel okay, and that's fine. What I really don't like, and this is something that causes a lot of unhappiness, is bullying. You have to find a way of dealing with it, or it really affects you. If someone calls me names or tries to have an argument with me, I just walk away. Bullies hate that, when you show them you don't care what they say and you're not afraid of them.
Thank you, Asma, Dev, Tien and Adam. Those are some really good views on what makes you happy and what doesn't. I'll be very interested to get all your comments now, so please send them.
Track 12.
A Rainbow in Silk. There was once a bey, an important ruler, who had everything that any man could have wanted. He rode about the city on a magnificent white horse, and admired its orchards and gardens, and the fine mosques whose domes gleamed blue and turquoise in the morning sun. The treasuries were full, the harvests were good, the bey had no foreign enemies to worry about. But the bey was very, very bored. One day he could stand it no longer. He sent for his counsellor, a man who had served him well for many years. "I want something new," he said, and tears came to his eyes like a spoilt child. "I'm bored. There's nothing to do any more." His counsellor was horrified. He had never had to deal with a situation like this before. He scratched his chin anxiously. "Well," he said miserably, "I really don't know, Your Highness." "Then think of something," the Bey hissed, and turned away. The counsellor bowed, then retreated thankfully. What had got into his master? Straight away he summoned all the best artists and craftsmen in the town, all the writers and poets, all the tumblers and clowns, all the stargazers and doctors, and asked their advice. The doctors gave him potions, which they said were recipes for eternal life. "Ha! Eternal life? Well, I shan't know, shall I? Not till you're dead and gone." And he gave the doctors such a nasty look that they hurried away. The writers and poets scribbled furiously and begged to be allowed to read their new works to the Bey, but he yawned loudly whenever they tried. Everybody was losing patience with the Bey, but, of course, they didn't dare show it. The glassblower brought a swan which he had made of fine blue glass. Everyone in the court gasped as he carried it in. It was so beautiful. The Bey reached out to snatch it and smash it, but the glassblower managed to keep it just out of his reach. The carpet weavers worked day and night in teams to complete a fine and huge carpet, showing the Bey on his favourite horse. But the Bey wasn't interested. Finally, he summoned his adviser again. "You've got one more day," he roared at him. "Don't you understand? I'm bored! I want something new! By tomorrow, or else!" The counsellor was terrified. The night wore on, and the poor counsellor didn't sleep at all. At last, the first rays of the morning sun crept through his window. The counsellor's eyes were wet with tears, and as the light touched the teardrops on his eyelashes, suddenly a brilliant rainbow appeared before his eyes. "That's it!" He sat up in bed, excited beyond belief. He ran into the Bey's presence and knelt down before him. "Your Highness, I think I can do it. I have a wonderful idea. Just give me a few more days." Even the Bey could see that the counsellor was excited. The Bey nodded graciously and dismissed him.
Track 13.
The counsellor set teams of silk weavers, dyers, and the Bey's own tailor to work. Finally, the surprise was ready. The counsellor was so pleased and excited that he wasn't afraid of the Bey anymore. "Well," said the Bey eagerly, "what have you brought me?" The tailor unrolled, shook out, and held up a truly magnificent robe, made of the most beautiful multicoloured silk. All of the colours of the rainbow were in it, shimmering like a real rainbow, dancing in front of the Bey's eyes. Even the counsellor gasped with delight. It was even more beautiful than the rainbow he had seen through his teardrops. Then they remembered the Bey and looked at him anxiously. As a broad smile slowly spread across his face, they all breathed a huge sigh of relief. He clapped his hands in delight. "Yes," he said triumphantly. "Yes," he shouted joyfully. "This is what I've been waiting for." And he put the robe on and twirled about the room in a most un-Bey-like fashion. Then he remembered who he was. He promptly sat down on his throne and tried to be dignified again. "Now," he said, I am in such a good mood today that I give permission for everyone in my country to wear clothes made from this rainbow silk whenever they please. And from that day to this, they have.
Track 14.
Bruno first. Tell me about your holidays, Bruno.
We usually go away for 2 weeks in the summer. This year, we're going to Vietnam. We're staying at an eco-hotel near a beach. In fact, it's called the Beachfront Hotel. You can do lots of water sports, like windsurfing and water skiing there.
That sounds fun.
I tried water skiing last year in Greece, and I ended up going to the doctor.
What happened?
I fell into the water and lost my skis.
Oh.
So the person at the back of the boat pushed them towards me as I was lying in the water, and one of them hit me in the mouth. It cut my lip.
That must have been painful.
I had to have stitches.
Aye! So you won't be water skiing this year?
Well, maybe not. I think I'll try kayaking this year.
Mariam, what about you?
Most of the time I'm going to be at home because my mum and dad are very busy. They find it very hard to take time off work, but I am going on a few day trips with them. We're going to Jeddah, which is right on the Red Sea coast in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay. Why Jeddah?
My cousins live there, so I can catch up with them. I'm looking forward to hearing all their news.
And will you go out when you're there?
Oh, yes. You can look round the shops. You can go roller skating. You can even go ice skating. There's lots to do. There's also a theme park called the Al Shalai Theme Park, so we might go there too.
Ren, are you going on holiday this year?
We're going camping in the Mount Fuji National Park, just west of Tokyo in Japan. You can see Mount Fuji from the campsite. We went there last year and it was great. I could have stayed on. I didn't want to come home.
So you're going back to the same place?
Yes, I don't mind going back to the same place because you know what to expect. There are hot springs and tennis courts, and you can take a boat on the lake. We're driving there, so we can take our tent with us. It isn't a long journey. It only takes 2 hours.
Anya, what's your view on holidays?
I like going to other countries, to new places. You get a chance to see new things. This year, we're flying to Dubrovnik in Croatia, and we're staying in an apartment, so we'll eat out every night, which I really enjoy. The apartment is quite a long way from the beach, but it shares a swimming pool with other apartments, so that will be okay.
What will you do when you're there?
We're going on a half-day sightseeing tour as soon as we get there, and there are islands to explore just off the coast, so we'll go on a boat trip to see them. I can't wait.
Track 15.
How was your holiday in Greece, Francisco?
It was okay.
Just okay?
Yeah. We went to one of the islands. There was nothing to do, really, apart from sit on the beach, read and go for a swim. It's only a small island.
How was the journey?
We got off to a bad start.
What do you mean?
Well, my brother was meant to pick us up at 6:30 in the morning to take us to the airport. We were waiting with our bags ready to go, but he didn't turn up.
Why not?
He overslept. So we had to get a taxi, and we almost missed the plane.
But you got to the airport in time for your flight.
Only just. Anyway, we took off and everything was going okay, and then halfway through the flight, the pilot announced that we would have to turn back because there was a problem with one of the engines.
Oh no!
Something to do with the island only having a short runway and needing the full power of the engines to stop. So we had to go all the way back to where we'd started.
What happened?
We all got off and they found another plane, but we had to wait 3 hours while it was being cleaned and refueled. The flight was fine, but we didn't get in till 11:30 at night.
What was the island like?
It was quite touristy, and the beaches were quite crowded. with lots of people surfing, windsurfing, water skiing, playing volleyball, that sort of thing.
How was your holiday in California, Lee?
It was fine.
Where did you go?
We drove down Highway 1 from San Francisco to Los Angeles.
Where did you stay in San Francisco?
In an apartment. It was nice. It had a view of the bay.
Was there a swimming pool?
There was, but it was being repaired, so we couldn't use it.
Where did you stop on the way?
At Carmel and Santa Barbara, but I really wanted to go to Yosemite.
What's Yosemite?
It's a huge national park, but while we were driving there from San Francisco, there was an announcement on the radio that it was closed. All the cars were being stopped because of wildfires in the park.
That must have been disappointing. Where did you stay in LA?
Santa Monica. It was a great place to hang out. Lovely beaches and a really relaxed atmosphere. Where did you go for your holiday, Sasha?
We went to Agadir.
Agadir? Where's that?
It's on the west coast of Morocco.
What's it like?
It's lovely. There's a big sandy beach. The water is clear. We went there almost every day. And just north of Agadir, there are some great places to visit. One of them was quite memorable.
Why? What happened?
Well, we rented a car and it broke down in a village while we were going to a place called Paradise Valley, where there are beautiful rock pools and waterfalls. But it all turned out well because we were invited into the house of one of the people in the village while the car was being fixed. The family gave us tea and I had a chance to speak a little bit of French to them. They were so kind. They gave us some biscuits to take home.
Track 16.
Our guest today is Dr. Rosa Benavides from the recently established Centre for Responsible Tourism. Dr. Benavides, let's start with the opposite of responsible tourism. What is irresponsible tourism?
Well, let me start by saying that we're not against tourism. We all like to go on holiday, and it's good for us to discover new places, including places which are environmentally sensitive. It opens our eyes and our minds.
OK, so what does an irresponsible tourist do?
For example, and this is just a simple thing, you go somewhere and you leave litter, paper, plastic, cans, that sort of thing, instead of taking it home with you.
OK, what else?
Well, things like you should be careful how much water and electricity you use. These are precious resources in a lot of places.
You mean don't waste water and only use the air conditioning if you really have to, that sort of thing?
Exactly.
And just give us a couple of ideas of how we can behave responsibly as tourists.
Let's start with your accommodation, where you stay. Help the local economy. Try to stay in places that are owned by the people who live there. Family-run hotels, that sort of thing. So that the money you pay goes directly to those people.
Rather than to a big-name international hotel chain, you mean?
For example, yes. The same goes for meals, food and drink. Avoid imported food. Eat local produce. Another example of helping the local economy. And I'd much rather eat something that looks and tastes homemade than something that's been produced in another country and travelled great distances before it ends up on your plate.
The trouble is, I suppose, some people are nervous about eating food that they're not used to.
I know, but be open-minded. At least give it a try. You might end up really liking it.
Now, we all like something to remember a holiday by. A souvenir. Should we buy souvenirs?
Yes, why not? Try to buy locally made souvenirs. You may find handmade objects or things that are from the local area, like spices or herbs. Avoid wildlife products.
Wildlife products?
Yes, things like coral, dried starfish, seahorses, even shells. People forget that some species of seahorse, for example, are endangered. Choose things that are handmade, beautiful glass beads and ornaments made by the people who live there.
Like?
Like necklaces and beaded wire animal sculptures, for example.
Beaded wire animal sculptures? So, animals made from beads and wire?
Yes. I bought one from a local workers' cooperative when I went to South Africa last year. It's a scorpion made from wire and beautiful dark blue beads. Look, I've got a picture of it on my phone.
Just beads and wire.
So, I've got a beautiful souvenir, and the people who made it get all the money from selling it. It's good for everybody, and you really feel that you've made a difference.
Track 17.
The motion is, tourism is a good thing. First, we're going to hear from those who support the motion.
We think tourism is a good thing. Jobs are created in cafes, restaurants, shops and hotels, for example. And people can earn money by renting out rooms in their houses as accommodation for tourists.
The money that the tourists bring can be used to improve roads and things like the water supply and the electricity supply, especially in developing economies.
It can also be used in conservation projects, helping to protect endangered animals or animals that have been mistreated, malnourished or neglected. It's also needed to keep national parks open.
Tourism opens your mind and your eyes to other cultures and customs. It's exciting, it's rewarding, it helps us all to become more open-minded.
So, to summarise, we think tourism is a good thing because of the effect it has on jobs, the infrastructure of a place, conservation, and on the way people see the world.
Thank you. And now we're going to hear from those who are against the motion.
Tourism can turn a lovely quiet place into a place that is dirty and really unpleasant to live in. Think of the litter that people leave behind. Think of the pollution that the extra traffic causes.
In some places, like the Greek islands, the Maldives or Venice, there are sometimes more tourists than residents. Hard to believe, but true. Places lose their identity.
Think of the land that is used to build huge hotels and enormous golf courses. Big businesses move in and the money goes to them, not to local people.
In a tourism-based economy, jobs are only part-time and for part of the year, so it's not really correct to say it is good for jobs.
Most tourists don't respect the traditions of the places they visit. They're not interested in them, which means those traditions are in danger of dying out.
So to summarise, we think tourism is a bad thing because it has a bad effect on a place, making it unpleasant for the people who live there because tourists don't always respect the traditions of the places they visit. They leave litter, their cars cause pollution, land is taken for tourist buildings and facilities, a lot of the money doesn't go to local people, and jobs in the tourist industry are not full-time or permanent.
Thank you. Now, would any of you like to ask questions? Yes, Anissa, you have a question, I think. What do you want to ask?
Track 18.
The Summer Book by Tove Jansson. It was an early, very warm morning in July, and it had rained during the night. The bare granite steamed. The moss and crevices were drenched with moisture, and all the colours everywhere had deepened. Below the veranda, the vegetation in the morning shade was like a rainforest of lush, evil leaves and flowers, which she had to be careful not to break as she searched. She held one hand in front of her mouth and was constantly afraid of losing her balance. "What are you doing?" asked little Sophia. "Nothing," her grandmother answered. "That is to say," she added angrily, "I'm looking for my false teeth." The child came down from the veranda. "Where did you lose them?" she asked. "Here," said her grandmother. "I was standing right there and they fell somewhere in the peonies." They looked together.
"Let me," Sophia said. "You can hardly walk. Move over."
She dived beneath the flowering roof of the garden and crept among green stalks and stems. It was pretty mysterious down on the soft black earth. And there were the teeth, white and pink, a whole mouthful of old teeth.
"I've got them!"
The child cried and stood up. "Put them in." "But you can't watch," Grandmother said. "That's private."
"I want to watch," she said.
So Grandmother put the teeth in with a smacking noise. They went in very easily. It had really hardly been worth mentioning.
"When are you going to die?"
the child asked. And Grandmother answered, "Soon, but that is not the least concern of yours."
"Why?"
her grandchild asked. She didn't answer. She walked out on the rock and on towards the ravine.
"We're not allowed out there!"
Sophia screamed. "I know," the old woman answered disdainfully. "Your father won't let either one of us go out to the ravine, but we're going anyway, because your father is asleep and he won't know." They walked across the granite. The moss was slippery. The sun had come up a good way now and everything was steaming. The whole island was covered with a bright haze. It was very pretty.
"Will they dig a hole?"
asked the child amiably. "Yes," she said, "a big hole." And she added insidiously, "Big enough for all of us." "How come?" the child asked. They walked on towards the point.
"I've never been this far before,"
Sophia said.
"Have you?"
"No," her grandmother said. They walked all the way out onto the little promontory, where the rock descended into the water in terraces that became fainter and fainter until there was total darkness. Each step down was edged with a light green seaweed fringe that swayed back and forth with the movement of the sea.
Track 19.
"I want to go swimming,"
the child said. She waited for opposition, but none came. So she took off her clothes, slowly and nervously. She glanced at her grandmother. You can't depend on people who just let things happen. She put her legs in the water.
"It's cold,"
she said. "Of course it's cold," the old woman said, her thoughts somewhere else. "What did you expect?" The child slid in up to her waist and waited anxiously. "Swim?" her grandmother said. "You can swim?" It's deep, Sophia thought. She forgets I've never swum in deep water unless somebody was with me. And she climbed out again and sat down on the rock.
"It's going to be a nice day today," she declared.
The sun had climbed higher. The whole island and the sea were glistening. The air seemed very light.
"I can dive," Sophia said. "Do you know what it feels like when you dive?"
"Of course I do," her grandmother said. "You let go of everything and get ready and just dive. You can feel the seaweed against your legs. It's brown and the water's clear, lighter towards the top with lots of bubbles. And you glide. You hold your breath and glide and turn and come up. Let yourself rise and breathe out. And then you float. Just float."
"And all the time with your eyes open,"
Sophia said. "Naturally, people don't dive with their eyes shut."
"Do you believe I can dive without me showing you?" the child asked.
"Yes, of course," Grandmother said. "Now get dressed. We can get back before he wakes up." The first weariness came closer. When we get home, she thought, when we get back, I think I'll take a little nap. And I must remember to tell him this child is still afraid of deep water.
Track 20.
Did you know that in English there are 11 colour words that everybody knows and uses?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, we learnt about it in art today.
What are they?
Black, white, red, green, yellow, blue, brown, orange, pink, purple and grey.
OK.
And in some languages there are just 5 colour words that people commonly use. So what we would call orange or pink, they would call red. And in Russian, Greek and Turkish, there are 2 separate words for blue, one that means dark blue and one to describe light blue.
That's interesting. So you mean the way you see colour depends on where you live and the language you speak?
That's right. And we might all see colours slightly differently.
Yes, I suppose we might. I hadn't really thought about that.
Shall we do an experiment? Shall we find out if we see the same colours?
OK, let's give it a go.
How would you describe the colours of the houses in this picture, for example?
Well, this one on the right is pale orange.
Oh, I'd say that is deep yellow.
What about the house on the left?
I'd describe that colour as yellowish brown.
Would you? Oh, that's interesting. I can see what you mean. It is a bit...
Track 21.
The weekend, at last.
Busy week?
Yes, very.
What have you been doing? At school, I mean.
What kind of things?
Well, we've been learning about DNA, genetics and the human genome.
Oh, right. That sounds quite hard.
We learnt that 99.9% of our DNA is the same.
You mean within a family?
No, in the whole world. Everyone. For all humans, 99.9% of our DNA is the same.
What is DNA exactly?
It stands for deoxyribonucleic acid.
Oh, OK.
It's a chemical that contains genetic information for the body, and genes are a small part of your DNA that control eye colour, hair colour, skin colour, things like that.
It's our genes that make us all look slightly different, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Genetics is the study of genes and inherited characteristics. Even identical twins who have the same DNA have small differences in their genes, so they look very similar, but not exactly the same.
It sounds like you've been doing some interesting stuff, because you've remembered it.
Yes, and today we did an experiment that was really fun and a bit messy.
What was that?
We had to touch a few different things and surfaces in the classroom and then find our fingerprints using some white powder.
Just like a detective in a crime series.
Yes, just like that. Then we compared our fingerprints, and of course they were all slightly different because everyone's fingerprints are unique. That's one of the tiny differences that our genes control.
So although the DNA of all humans is 99.9% the same, the 0.1% that's different makes each person's DNA profile unique. Is that right?
Well done, Mum. And that's why the police and forensic experts use DNA to solve crimes.
What is the human genome? I've heard that mentioned, but I don't really know what it means.
It's the complete DNA profile of a human.
What about you, Ryan? You seem to understand all this about DNA and genes.
Well, we haven't been studying fingerprints and stuff like that, but we've been learning about developments in medical science.
Oh, right.
We've been finding out about how knowledge of the human genome will help scientists and doctors in the future.
Wow, that's all very interesting.
Track 22.
Hello, and welcome to Clever Ideas That Have Changed the World. Some of you will remember the story of Richard Turere and his lion lights. Richard invented the lion lights when he was just 11 years old. Since then, he has adapted and improved his original lights. They are now solar-powered, they are automatic, and they have 16 different flashing light settings. He has also built a homemade wind turbine for cloudy days when there is not enough solar power. Richard says that he has taught himself about electronics by taking things to pieces. When he was a child, for example, he broke his mum's radio to look inside it to find out how it worked. His mum was very annoyed. "She nearly killed me," he said.
According to Richard's mother, Veronica, lion attacks on their cattle happened on a daily basis before the lights were installed, killing around 9 cows a week. After the lights, we had no more problems, she said. With each cow being worth about $1,000, that was a lot of money to lose.
Track 23.
Hi, my name's Amir. I feel sorry for animals that are kept in an enclosure, however good the enclosure might be, just so that people can go and look at them. In my opinion, zoos should not be allowed. When wild animals are forced to live in captivity, it goes against their natural instincts and it's wrong. I think they suffer from stress and boredom. It's not right.
My name's Isla, and I think zoos are a good tradition. My parents used to take us to the zoo when we were younger, and we loved it. It was a great day out. We liked seeing all the animals that we'd seen in books in real life. Some of the animals were really amusing. They responded to their keepers and to the visitors and seemed to enjoy the attention.
Hello, I'm Huyen. I know that some zoos specialise in breeding animals in captivity, and it's an important part of what they aim to do. And it's true that zoos have succeeded in breeding animals like giant pandas, elephants, but I still don't think that it's right for them to keep animals in captivity. You've also got to listen to the experts who say that taking animals from the wild reduces genetic diversity, which is bad for the future survival of the species.
My name's Arnell. I know that some people don't like the idea of animals being kept in captivity if they are in small cages or enclosures. But there are zoos and wildlife parks where the animals are kept in good conditions and are well looked after. These kinds of places can be good because endangered species can be protected from problems such as habitat loss and from being killed by poachers or hunters. Some zoos also breed endangered species with the aim of releasing them into the wild, which helps to save animals from extinction.
Well, my name's Shashi, and I don't approve of any species being taken from the wild. And I don't agree with people who say that zoos can provide a good environment for animals. We should try to solve the problems that threaten wildlife instead. If people want to see wild animals, they should take more interest in the wildlife around them. Or, if they want to find out about animals from other places, they should read about them or watch nature programs on TV.
Hello, my name's Kareem. I know that you can see animals in their natural habitat in wildlife programs on television, but I think it's good to see them in real life too. You can identify with animals more closely when you've actually seen them. Zoos are a good way of introducing people to the amazing variety of species, and I think knowing more about animals should make people more concerned about protecting them.
Track 24.
Tortoise and Hare Race by Jill Townsend. Tortoise, you're very slow, you know. No wonder, your legs are so short. I get to where I want to go, said Tortoise with a snort. Hare was everywhere, light and springy, pinging past, fast all over the place. Besides, I'd beat you in a race if we were having one. All right, we'll let Fox choose the place and see it's fairly run. The race began. Off Hare ran. "I'll probably win before you begin," he jeered as he disappeared. And Tortoise was slow getting away, but he said as he jogged along, "Little by little wins the day, and Hare will get bored before long." Hare was so sure he'd be there before the Tortoise, he thought he'd take a short break, and fell deep asleep in the sun. He slept and slept while the minutes kept on ticking away through the heat of the day. And still he slept, as Tortoise crept up and past, on his way to the finishing post. The end of the race was in sight at last. He expected Hare there to boast. But Hare woke with a shock. His body clock said he'd overslept. So up he leapt and started to run, but there was someone already ahead, and at this minute about to win. It can't be Tortoise, but it was. Yes, there ahead with Fox was Tortoise, winner of the race, and that despite his leg's shortness and his slow pace.
Track 25.
The Farmer's Cat by David Greygoose. Out in the fields in springtime, the farmer's cat follows him as he plants the seeds of corn. The cat dances with the raindrops and sleeps in the sun, and when autumn comes, she sees that the farmer has a field full of corn. Out in the fields in springtime, the farmer's cat follows him as he plants the peanut seeds. The cat dances with the raindrops and sleeps in the sun, and when autumn comes, she sees that the farmer has a field full of tasty peanuts. Out in the fields in springtime, the farmer watches while his cat plants rows of tiny fish. The cat dances with the raindrops and sleeps in the sun, and dreams that when autumn comes she will fill her dish with all the silver fish that she's grown in the farmer's fields